Well, I think I'd like to remember it enough to mention it at the lecture about, um, I think when you're new to skiing, you feel like the skis are just taking you away and you're being kind of left behind, and that's why people sit back, they sit down because they feel like, oh my God, I'm gonna hurt myself because I'm being taken away by these skis down the mountain. And for me, it's more like the mountain is moving underneath me and I'm this still point on the skis. That's what it feels like to me, is a still point. And I'm right there, and I don't feel like I'm being taken away. I feel like I'm just riding this wave. It's like a gravity wave, It's like a gravity wave that I'm riding, which it is, really, because you're using gravity to set yourself free this way. And
I love the picture you painted of the surfer. Can you say that again?
yeah, it's like when you're surfing, and I don't know about this specifically because I'm not a surfer, but I get a sense from watching surfers that they're moving with this wave, and they're at this still point on the surfboard. And also you could apply it. It also makes sense to look at snowboarders this way, because they're like snow surfers, but instead of a moving wave of water, you're riding a gravity wave. So gravity exists because of the angle of the slope, and it's like you're riding this wave of gravity and snow down the hill, and you're the still point in the gravity wave that's moving. That's kind of how my experience of it is. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's such an ecstatic experience for me skiing, is because you're just playing with that wave. You're listening to what the snow in the terrain is. Actually, it's a conversation, it's a relationship. You're having this conversation with the terrain and whatever means that the snow is manifesting itself as, which is dynamic and can be changeable from one moment to the next. And you have to sense it, because you can't always see it. Like yesterday when we dropped off of the top of Tumalo, that top part is always really windblown, and sometimes it's scoured, and sometimes, like yesterday, it's a drifting manifestation of sastrugi. Sastrugi is like wind waves, and they were really big wind waves, bigger than they usually are, and the light was flat enough that you couldn't tell when you were going from a kind of a scoured rime crust to a big puffy drift, until you were in the drift. And then you have to adapt to it, because it's changed. The situation has changed from here to there. And so you have to realize that you're a dynamic still point in the midst of the dynamicism of the medium that you're in.
I love what you said about the conversation that you're having.
Ready.
But the conversation is not between your mind and the land, the snow, the water.
It's between you as a creature.
Body and spirit,
rather than thinking about it. Your mind can't really adapt to thinking fast enough to accommodate the changes. Your body just has to be ready to be that centered still point for whatever is occurring in the moment. So you're really in it's where I learned about being in the present moment way before I started recording Thich Nhat Hanh or John Kabat-Zinn in mindfulness. About it's your point of power, because that's really all there is the moment. Everything else is either memory or anticipation. Memory or anticipation. What's happening right now is what's happening. That's your point of power. Just reminded me of a Fireside Theater comedy group skit in one of their albums. They were riffing on welcome to the church of what's happening now.